Welcome back to another installment of that show that's going to get theme songs stuck inside your head. We're talking about brand new Animal today because we're in the middle of quarantine, so even though this is normally a movie review show, screw it, I'm just going to review whatever new thing comes out that I'm interested in watching, and this is the latest anime from Trigger. And man, do I like me some Trigger. They're the guys who they brought us, I've gotten this wrong before, but I know they brought us Kill la Kill.
Yes.
And they brought us Promare.
Yes.
Did they also do Gurren Lagann?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
They also
They
also did Little Witch Academia.
They did Little Witch Academia, which was shockingly good. Like, you tell me, oh, Little Witch Academia, it's this cutesy little thing about this girl going to a school for witches. I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound like anything I'd be interested in. That thing is so darn fun.
It is.
I enjoyed the heck out of that thing.
It's so different from, like, what you expect from Trigger, but it's still so charming.
Yeah, it's like, Trigger is normally like, we're gonna go to 11 with crazy action scenes. This is just a really charming thing about people bonding and becoming friends. And for anybody out there who really finds it difficult right now to read Harry Potter for very good reasons, yeah, Little Witch Academia, they got your back.
We're talking about brand new Animal now, so.
But yeah, we're talking about brand new Animal. Also, before someone corrects me, I think Gurren Lagann was not Trigger, but I think the people who worked on Gurren Lagann went on to make Trigger.
I think so.
I think that's what
I think it's like Gynax or something.
They were
like
Gynax, yes.
Because I remember they also did Fooly Cooly, which I love.
They did it was Gynax, but I think two of the people who worked on Gurren Lagann went over to be Trigger.
Yes.
And yeah, it's obvious because man, Trigger has a lot. Trigger has a lot of running themes, and one of the themes is, man, they sure do love their Deus Ex Machinas.
Yes.
Which I feel like that hit a peak in Promare, because spoilers for Promare. But man, you guys know me, I'd say it all the time, I do kind of have a problem with Deus Ex Machinas. Trigger's like one of the only guys out there that's like, no man, they get you pumped, they get you so excited for this thing that when the Deus Ex Machina comes out, you're like, no, they're hindered, I'm totally fine there, I'm there with you on that one, yeah, Deus Ex Machina all day. And Promare, this is not a series about mechs at all, but at the end of this, they had to stop this big giant monster. So this secret scientist comes out of nowhere, who we have not seen this whole thing, goes, here's everything you actually need to know, and in order to combat the thing, you need to use my mech, called the Deus Ex Machina. I went, you got me. Oh, Trigger.
It's like, they know their tropes.
Yeah, it's like, wow, you turned to me and went, oh, we know. We're
very self-aware.
We are very aware of what we are. But yeah, I love Promare, and this one, it's so weird. This one really felt like Promare the show, because it carried so many themes over from that one.
Yeah.
Because Promare, yeah, you look at it and it's like, oh, cool, it's about firefighters fighting people who are born with the ability to, like, create fire. And yeah, the moment you go, like, actually beyond that, you go, oh no, this is actually about a government that discriminates against these people who happen to be born differently just because they can create fire. So they're rounding them all up and putting them in camps. And then you actually see things from their side and you realize, like, oh, they're just regular people and they're being discriminated against, and like, holy shit, Trigger, you decided to get really deep on this, and I am all in favor of that. This is kind of exactly that.
Yeah, like, honestly, like, this, I thought this would be more like Beastars.
Oh, wow. Isn't it weird that you watch the first episode of Beastars, and you watch the first episode of this, and you're like, which of these is going to be more serious? And then you're like, oh yeah, Beastars is definitely going to be way more serious. By the time that you get to the end of it, it's like, Beastars is still more serious, but it's like here. It's like, like neck and neck.
Well, like, the thing is, like, Beastars, like,
Beastars is serious for the tone.
Yes.
This is for, like, the, like, messages behind it.
Yeah.
But even Beastars has got, man, maybe we should talk about Beastars.
Maybe. Like, but here's...
You know what? There's no movies coming out right now. How would you guys feel? Let me know in the comments down below. If we just started binge watching some anime, because, man, the world's a terrible place right now. I like to just binge watch stupid anime. Maybe we should just do that. Maybe.
It's like,
Let us know in the
well,
comments down
like,
below.
here's the thing, like, with Beastars, it's like, it keeps its serious tone throughout the series.
I was about to say, I just said I like to binge watch stupid animes. I'm like, Beastars is actually darker than almost any film I saw last year.
It's
Beastars starts off and goes, this is actually about sexual assault. Well, this entire thing is, what?
Sexual assault, racism, all that good shit.
It's like, the thing about the dog man and the bunny rabbit going to school now? What? Yeah, Beastars is some stuff, man.
Yeah, but it's like, Brand New Animal is much more lighthearted.
Talk about this one.
And I think because it's more lighthearted, but like also like has like the
very serious messages in there.
like
I think different people.
more at stake. I think is what I'm trying to say. More at
Well,
stake.
yeah, okay.
But like
Beastars is a personal thing. Beastars is about this guy and that girl. And it's, will they be able to overcome society? Will they be able to deal with, his weird, horrible urges that he has and all these other issues and peer pressure that's being placed on him for this thing? Beastars is about all of society is prejudiced and out to get this group of people here. We need to discuss that. So it's a much larger scale.
you said Beastars when you meant to say Brand New Animal.
Whatever. I realized that as soon as you said, I was like, I know what I did wrong. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Brand New Animal.
Yes.
Because what the show is about is that it is set in a world where basically all the imagery that you've seen from mythology or from religions of half human, half animal people, turns out those were actual people, actual like beast animals.
Yeah, like they're
beast
called
men.
beastmen. Yes,
Yeah, they're called
They're like
beastmen.
a special kind of like species that's like has
They can turn into, they can go from human to half human, half animal.
anthropomorphic animals.
There you go.
Yes, so they're not actual animals. So
Yeah, exactly. They're dogs on two legs is what they are.
yes,
They can switch back and forth between the two, and for many years they kind of tried to live in secret among humans, but then humans found out, and they started discriminating against them, and they started trying to round them up, and they did horrible things to them, and all throughout mankind's history, the beastmen have been discriminated against, so over in Japan, they ended up creating a city. New Anima City is what it's called, right?
I think it's just Anima City. I don't think
Anima
it's
City,
New
okay.
Anima, but
But yeah, they ended up creating Anima City, and it is a place where the Beastmen can come and live in peace and by themselves and be separated from everyone else. And it is the story of this girl, which I've forgotten everyone's name. So the girl's name is
you know what? Because of the letter M or something.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not good with Japanese names. I'm very sorry.
Oh, but you're even better than I am. So we're both at stake here. We're both lost here. I had to stop because that was going to drive me nuts. The character's name is Michiru.
Yeah, so I was right.
Yes, we actually both took a guess at it, and you were like, Michiru? I was like, I think it is Michiru. Yeah, it turns out we were correct. We didn't need to stop at all. But yes, so this girl, Michiru, who was born a human,
Yes.
one day out of nowhere, she just turns into a beastman. She turned into a Tanuki girl.
Yes.
And which, here's the great thing about this. You said she was a Tanuki. I was like, no, I think she's a raccoon. And then she gets to Anima City. She meets someone who goes, yeah, you're a Tanuki. And then she goes, I'm not Tanuki, I'm a raccoon. And it's great because the moment he said, yeah, you're a Tanuki, you turned to me like, and then she goes, I'm not Tanuki, I'm a raccoon. I was like, and then he goes, you have a stripe on your tail. That means
No.
you're a Tanuki.
She doesn't have stripes on her tail.
Doesn't have a stripe on her tail.
Yeah, so Tanukis don't have stripes on their tails, and raccoons do, and that's
Yes.
usually how I tell the difference between them in cartoons and stuff.
Yes.
So in other words, Tom Nook is indeed a Tanuki.
Yes. She goes to Anima City so she can be free, but also so she can try and find out, why was I a human and now I'm a beastman? That can't happen. Humans can't turn into beastmen. And she goes there, and she's also got a bunch of mysteries to her about, she had a friend who one day the same thing happened where she just suddenly turned into a beastman and she got
she was
picked up
taken
and
away.
and she's trying to find out, maybe she came here as well, trying to track her down. And she ends up running into this big wolf man.
I want to say Shiro? Yes.
Yeah, I've got it right there.
Okay.
I have the phone in my lap. We're not going to take another break to look up someone's name. But yeah, his name is Shiro, and he is kind of he's not a cop, but he's kind of like that rogue detective that
He's
just
like the Batman of
He's basically
of
Batman.
Anima City.
He's 100% Batman. The the mayor has a direct line to him. When the cops can't figure anything out, they go to him. He's Bat Dog is what he is.
Bathound.
Yeah, Bat Hound. So he pairs up with her, and he's helping her along just because he's like, I don't believe that you were ever a human, but I mean, you don't have a home right now, you're new to the city, so I'll take you to this place where they help treat new people, where they set new people up with a place to live. And that's one thing that I love about this is that like all the other like little characters that get introduced in here, they all have like little roles in the city. They all live in different parts of the city. They really did think this city out. I did enjoy that. I just wish that we could have gotten like a little bit more time to explore this. This series is 13 episodes long. And no, it's only 12.
12, yeah.
Yeah,
12 or 13, yeah. I think it's 12 though.
Yeah, I think it's only 12 episodes. And man, I wish this thing was like the full, like most anime is either 26 episodes, 13 episodes. It's one of those
per season.
Per season, yeah. And I just kept looking at it, it's like, man, I really wish that this had been 26 episodes. I really wish we'd gotten the time to really flesh this out because at the end of this season, there's just a lot of crazy stuff thrown in there. And like I said, Trigger is known for that. Trigger is known for coming in here and just going, well, here's like 9 new ideas here at the end. But typically it all works. It doesn't really feel that jumbled. It feels like we go from, okay, this, and now this, and this, and this, and now we're over here. This was like this, all sandwiched in like one thing. I'm like, okay, that's just, even for Trigger, that's jumbled, is how I felt like the last couple of episodes of this were. But I also feel like there's a lot to this city that kind of gets introduced and not really fleshed out. Like there's that moment in which they're talking about the crime in the city, and they find this one town that is run by an all-female gang. And at the end of that, the head of this gang, she's talking to Michiru, and she's going like, you don't understand what it's like to be a woman here in Anima City among the Beastmen.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, are we going to get into that?
No, that never comes back around. And like, oh, that feels like an interesting thing that could have been explored. And maybe on paper they did have ideas to explore that, but yeah, they didn't have time to explore that. And like the whole "this city is loaded with crime" thing, that just doesn't come back up until the very end. Like that kind of gets dropped.
Yeah.
Like there's a
I mean, I guess there was like the baseball episode, which is obviously a filler episode, but it's like,
man, is that a good one?
It's a good one, but it's like they bring up like how animals like will literally kill each other when they're playing baseball. It's like,
and baseball only exists so that the mob can gamble on it, which not that far off from truth, but. But yeah, they're like, the only reason why we have this one sport in the city is so the mob has something that I can gamble on. Is everybody gambles on baseball. That's the real appeal of it, not the actual baseball itself. And they will actually murder people, like people on one team will murder people on another team in there. And it was like they were trying to make like an episode about like how aggressive the Beastmen are, because there is that moment where she's in line at a government office. Basically, she's at the DMV.
Yeah, like trying
and 2 people cut in line, and everybody lets them cut in line because they're really big animals, and they start fighting each other. And Shio's just like, yeah, that's how it is. The strong survive. If you're big, you get to beat each other up. That's it. And then whoever wins, they get whatever they want. And I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe we could see some more of like how that plays out. I'm like, no, not really. Yeah, so I feel like this thing, the worst thing that I can say about Brand New Animal is it is way too short for everything that they were trying to do in here. And I would love it if they had fleshed all this stuff out. But it is still, with what they are able to put in here, it is some really fascinating stuff they put in here. I did love this thing. I did love the supporting characters in here. The bear baseball team is so good. That little tiny bear guy, the little one, I don't remember his name.
I think Jackie?
Yeah, I think it was Jackie. I'm trying to look.
Well, I don't know if that was a boy or a girl, but whatever. Like,
let's see. Marie was the mink. Which she was a great recurring character, by the way. Yeah, Jackie, voiced by Erica Harlicker, who, wow, would not have guessed that was her. This whole show is like a reunion of like the Persona 5 cast. Anytime you get all of them together again, I'm on board. But man, would not have expected the voice of An to be the voice of the little bear, but she nailed it in that. She was so good.
Yeah, like I also want to the show to explore more of the slums and stuff too. Like, 'cause that's where the bear baseball team lives.
Yeah, I want to see more of that. I want to see some more of like some of the other districts in there, because it's got me like if there's a slum, then there's also going to be like the fancy part of town, like this part over here, and then there's like gonna be like the business district. Like I want to see like all the different sides of this life, and I feel like, oh man, we didn't get enough of that.
And it's like, I don't know if there is going to be a second season. I doubt it. Like, but if there is, I would really like it if they explored more of the city and stuff.
Yeah, everything is pretty resolved at the end of this.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I would like to definitely see more of it. But yeah, so that was one of my few complaints is that, yeah, it was just too short, but everything that we got in here was really good. Up until when we got to the ending, when, as I said, Trigger is known for like, and then we go to this, and then we go to this, and then we go to this thing over here. And instead, it was like all those this in 2 episodes. And I went, oh, that's way too crammed, and there's too many things happening in here. And it's like, there's so many things that just happen. I'm like, what? I mean, I know what I'm watching. I know I'm watching Trigger here, so I'm already prepared to not say what. And even I'm like, what? Yeah, there's things where it's like, turns out this character was this thing over here the entire time, and that's a brand new concept that hasn't been introduced at this point. And oh, here's a brand new role to this thing right now. I'm like, no.
I'm just like sitting here, like, okay. It's
yeah,
like, that's Trigger.
They made so much stuff up in the last 2 episodes that I was just like, nothing feels like it matters at this point. Everything just can be whatever. Like, they can just make up whatever role they want right now. And like I said, Trigger's typically really good at that. Trigger's typically really good at, like, and now we formed the Ultra Mega Gundam thing. And it's like, all right, sure, I'm down with that. But this is when they were like, yeah, you're going a little bit too far, too nuts with this. And also, there's no surprises in this thing. There's no surprises to me, because this entire time, they keep talking about how the Beastmen worship the Silver Wolf. This Silver Wolf deity who has been there throughout history to protect the Beastmen. And it's like, and there's this badass Silver Wolf Shiho walking around. And like, gee, I wonder if that's gonna be connected in any way.
Yeah, it's like, it would have been like more of a surprise if they were like other wolf characters, but Shiro is literally the only wolf character,
and
so it's
his
like,
fur is white, and I'm just like, yeah, and also like we see him doing insane things that no other Beastman could possibly do. It's like, yeah, okay, I know who this is gonna be. And also, the person who turns out to be evil is so obviously the bad guy.
Yeah, I know.
I kept thinking to myself, okay, they're not going to be the bad guy because it'd be too obvious. They're leaning into it so hard, the twist will be he's not evil. No, you just decided to make him evil. All right.
Yeah, but there is a twist with him, but...
And it's stupid. I'm sorry, but it's dumb. It's dumb, and I am normally in favor of Trigger's big dumb moves. And even this one, I was like, you didn't plan that at all. And it's not just a twist. There's like 3 twists. And sometimes like twist number 2 will be mentioned after twist number 1. And I'm just like, okay, how did you not mention twist number 2 before twist number 1? It's so crazy to me. We will get into spoilers on it, but we're gonna finish talking about like the show like in general before that. Yeah, and just like the end of this, like it's fun, and man, Trigger knows how to make all the supporting characters come back and then have the theme song start blaring as they're all coming together to try and help each other out. And it makes you just go, I don't care about anything else. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And it happens in here, and I didn't care about anything else. This was the greatest thing I've never seen happen here. Listen, man, I'm a sucker. I know what I like. I know if there's like, you do this plus this, it equals Aaron is happy. And Trigger loves to do that because for me, one of the things that will always make me happy is bring all your supporting characters back to have them all come together and help each other out at the end, and then have the theme song start playing when it happens. I will be happy. It happens in here, and I loved it. I was so happy. I freaking loved it. Well, like, all the bears come back around. That seagull guy comes back around. The mink, who she had been a great recurring character all throughout this. This mink who keeps showing up and keeps constantly just trying to like.
She's like a con artist.
She's a con artist.
Yeah.
She's 100% a con artist.
Yeah, but like she's
constantly taking advantage of the fact that Michiru is like new to this town. She doesn't know anything about how this works, and he's just constantly like taking advantage of her. Yeah, I loved it, but like I love that eventually after she had done enough times, she wasn't really like antagonistic. It was just more like, yeah, it's what she does.
Just neutral, like chaotic neutral.
She's very chaotic neutral, and I love that eventually like Michiru was just like, yeah, it's fine.
Like that's how things are here in Anima City. So
yeah, I dug it. I really like that, and like there at the end, like even she's helping out. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome seeing them all come together. And also, I really enjoyed like the message in here. Like we said, this thing is not subtle about this at all. And hey, man, subtlety is fine sometimes. Also, sometimes non-subtlety is fine. It depends on the situation, and I think the non-subtlety in here is perfectly fine. It is very clear, like, the Beastmen are supposed to be metaphors for any group out there that's been discriminated against.
Yeah, I don't think Trigger does subtle, honestly.
Yeah. If you're asking for subtlety from Trigger, you're looking at the wrong studio. But yeah, it's very clear that they're meant to be metaphors for real-life humans who have suffered discrimination throughout the course of history. I mean, like, there's one point in there in which they're giving, like, the backstory on the mayor, and they're talking about how, like, she was a kid during World War II. And,
like, they said the Second War, but it's, like, it's very obvious.
It's obvious that they were like, no, she was, like, in a concentration camp during, like, you know, so it's very clear that's what they were talking about in there. And, like, yeah, man, I applaud Trigger for, like, being so bold to go like, no, we're going to turn to the audience and go, yeah, you think about these things. You think about the fact that, like, there's actual people out there suffering with discrimination like this. I'm like, good for you guys. I applaud them for that. I constantly see people on the internet talking about how it's like, oh, the reason why anime is better than American stuff is because anime doesn't get political. It's like, are you fucking stupid? Like, that's a weird Brad to come in here and say, I don't know how to interpret things. It's like, okay, sure. You brag about your stupidity, that's fine. Yeah. And this one, man, it is all up in, like, talking about, like, social and political issues. There's a moment in which they just flat out say, yeah, the government of Japan is evil because they're discriminating against these people. It's like, damn, Trigger, you go. Good for you guys. There's even, like, they even get into, like, a couple of, like, the more subtle things that are, like, very specific to Japanese, social stuff. Like, the whole, what's her name, Nausicaa? Is that, no, that's the girl from the Valley of the Wind. But Michiru ends up being, like, her friend again. And,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, and she really wants to be, what's her name? I've got it right here, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nazuna, I was very close.
Yes.
But she wants to be an idol. And that is something that, like, listen, we've got, like, pop stars over here in America, but, like, an idol is something that's very unique just to Japan. It's not just someone who sings or does any of these things. It's something very unique. And they start getting into the whole, like, she's got a creepy manager who is just taking advantage of her, and she's kind of, like, underage, so this is wrong for many reasons. Like, that is a big thing that is very specific to, like, Japanese idols. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, like, in any other form of entertainment across the world, but that is, like, if you talk about Japanese idols, that's something that, like, happens all the time, and they don't want you to talk about that. So I'm like, man, Trigger, talking about that. Good for you guys. I'm very proud of them for doing stuff like that. So yeah, I applaud this thing for getting into that stuff, for not being afraid to talk about some of these big issues. And also, it's Trigger. The animation is going to look amazing.
Oh, yes.
The animation looks great in here, and this does not even really look like normal Trigger animation, because Trigger loves to do that thing where they have someone do a bunch of crazy movements, but then they cut out all the in-between frames. So it's like someone kicking, then punching, then doing this, and they don't stop to pause on any of it. So it's just them doing that, like, really fast and rapid. Like, that's kind of like one of their staples of their animation.
Yeah.
And I'll admit, sometimes I think it works, sometimes I think it doesn't really work.
Like, for the filler episodes, it definitely does work.
Yeah, for the baseball one, I thought it worked. The baseball one absolutely worked. But throughout the rest of this thing, they didn't really do that up until the final episode. In the final episode, they started doing it, I was like, I don't know about that. Because we had gone this entire show not really showing that kind of animation. Like, when someone is doing big, crazy action stuff, they get into it. They show it. They're not afraid to show, like, all the fluid in-between frames. So it was kind of weird in the final episode they started doing it, but I was like, Trigger's gonna trigger. Like, it's just what we've come to expect from this studio. But yeah, and I will just say, I freaking love the characters in here. I already mentioned that, but I'm going to come back around on Michiru. She is so good, and the friendship between her and Nazuna, that's something that you so rarely get to really see in anything. Not just like anime, but like period. Like just a friendship between two female characters. It was great.
Yeah, like, I honestly was, like, really worried that, like, they would become, like, enemies.
I 100% thought they would. I was like, man, yeah, I've seen enough stuff like this.
Yeah.
I know you can't just have two female characters be friends with each other. That's not how media works. Oh, wait, two female characters are just friends with each other. And they're there to support each other. And they're there to, like, help each other with their dreams. And they're understanding of each other.
Yes, it's like, so nice.
Oh,
it's like, wow.
I will say Nazuna every now and again got a little on my nerves.
Yeah.
Because, like, Michiru was like, I'm here to help you. And she's like, I never asked to actually be helped with any of this. That is so like you, Michiru, to constantly just assume that others need it. And, like, that was good at first. Like, the first time that she kind of, like, turned to her and dropped that bomb on her, I was like, I'm not actually asking you for help. You know that, right? Like, you just keep assuming I'm in danger and I need your help. You need to save me. It's like, that was a good moment. And she does it like 3 more times throughout the series. And I actually saw someone make a little comic that was like a great joke on that. And when she was Michiru going, she asked for no pickles. And she just comes out like, oh, Michiru, that's so like you. I said I didn't want pickles. I didn't say that I wouldn't want them on my burger. I just said I'm not a fan of pickles. But you just naturally assume that meant that I wouldn't want them. So you came in here to make the order for me. And I was like, that's their relationship. That's the show. Yeah, I was like, that's great. Yeah, they leaned into it a little too hard, but the first time it's get revealed that
I kind of felt like that was like more of like the cult leader, like influencing her.
A little bit, but it also was a good moment of turning to the audience and going like, did any of y'all ever actually hear me ask for help? Like, did any of you actually even, like, see me say, I don't like this? Like, maybe I just want things different from what Michiru wants from me. I was like, that's a really good thing to, like, turn to the audience and kind of challenge them in that way. And I thought that was really good. And I think they eventually found, like, a good balance with that character of having to be like, no, I do actually want to do these things. Yes, there was some bad stuff going on, and I do thank you for pointing that out, but also you kind of assumed that all this was wrong. It wasn't all wrong. I did enjoy some of the things I was doing there. Like, good. That's really good what they did with her character. I actually think that what they did with her character was great throughout it. And it's so rare that you can say that about a supporting character in the show. Okay, let's go ahead and get into like some of the spoiler stuff in here. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and rank this thing. I'm not going to rank this by like a number. I'm going to go from like all the trigger properties where I would put this.
We should just like have a trigger bingo sheet, like just.
Well, like the trigger tier list is what we have.
Yes, tier list. That'd be actually better.
The tier list, yeah. Top for me would be Gurren Lagann, but again, that's not really trigger. That's Gynex, just involving some of the trigger guys in there, so it doesn't really count. So after that, I'd say Kill la Kill's probably top for me, then Promare, then this is right under Promare for me.
Maybe Little Witch Academia, or is that? I don't know. I kind of feel like that's like its own separate category.
It's kind of its own thing. I would still put Little Witch Academia like right underneath that. Like none of these get to like C tier with me. They're all B and above. To me. They're all B or A class. But yeah, I'd go like the only reason why Promare is slightly higher than this is because Promare was just shorter, so it didn't have time to build up as many ideas, and then not really play them all out. Promare came in here, did what it needed to do, got out. This one came in here, set up some cool stuff, and then didn't really have the time to play them all out. So that's why this one is a little bit below Promare for me. And then
like that's the thing. Is like you expect like a movie to be like in and out and done, like just straight to the point. But with the series, it's like you expect it to like build up.
And also, Promare only has one crazy twist at the end. This one's got like 9. I'm like, nah, man. You went full twist. Nah, too many.
You out-triggered yourself.
Also, did Trigger do panty and stalking?
I can't tell if it was that or Gynex.
I can't. Like, it was still some of the same guys.
Yeah.
But if they did that one too, then that's an F.
You did not like that.
I hated that.
You did not like that.
I know you liked it, and I know the people out there who like it, they love it. I hated that
You
thing.
just don't really like, you didn't really like the gross out.
I didn't like the gross out. I thought the humor was kind of bad. I thought the plot was just kind of stupid. Like, I'm not going to keep going into it, but I hated that show. And I know the comments are going to be filled with people going, that's actually my favorite one. I've heard. I'm aware there are people out there who that's their favorite. Fine. You can have it. I just have to say, for the one person out there who's like, wait, you're ranking all the trigger ones, and you didn't bring up panty and stalking. You didn't want me to, but for the one person out there who did, I hated that thing. I'm not gonna go F. I will go D because I did think the art style was good, but holy crap. Anywho, where would you put this?
A brand new animal where I put it on the tier list.
Yeah. What's your ranking in there?
Gee, I don't even know.
Now you know what it feels like to be put on the spot.
Yes.
Everybody saw a review from yesterday. It just ended with me going like, I don't know.
Let's see. I guess like I feel like Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill are like very similar, so I think they would also be like way
I think you like Kill la Kill a little bit more than me.
Yeah, it's like I kind of felt like Kill la Kill was like Gurren Lagann, but with female characters. So
there's definitely a lot of similarities.
Yeah, so I kind of felt like, hey, that's cool. You know, more female representation and everything in anime. So that's kind of why I liked it. But
that's also one of the cool things about this show here is that it's like, oh, cool, female representation, and also not like. Again, I understand that the clothing choices in Gurren Lagann had a point to it. I understand that there was a point to it.
Kill or
Kill la Kill. I understand it had a point to it. I understand that. But it's also kind of nice to see characters wear pants. I guess is the nice way to put it. So yeah, they're at the top for you.
Let's see. I kind of feel like Promare would be like slightly underneath it.
Under Brand New Hamill?
That'd be second tier.
Oh, okay.
Oh, oof. Oh my God, Peach.
There you go, buddy.
It's like I said, Little Witch would probably be like in its own separate category.
It's on its own tier list.
I kind of feel like Penny Shotgun would be its own like thing too because it is so different. They'd be like on two opposite ends, honestly, of the.
I understand. Okay, you've gone way too complex with this. You like the show. That's all.
Yeah, okay, yes.
All right.
I do like it.
Yes. So yeah, time to get into spoiler time here. At the end of this thing, it's revealed that, okay, as I said, it's not a spoiler. Shiho is the Silver Wolf, who's this immortal being that protects the Beastmen. But it's revealed that he became the Silver Wolf when he, in ancient times, his village was slaughtered by humans, and then the blood of all the other slaughtered beastmen went into him, and
like
they
their
gave
souls.
Him his, basically he got like he became the Philosopher's Stone is what he became. He Full Metal Alchemisted. He's got 1,000 different human beings inside of him.
No, except they're beastmen.
Yeah, but still same thing. And they're giving him their immortality, and no good, Peach. All right. So
there's
it
that.
gets revealed then that the guy leading the pharmaceutical company, which 2 reviews in a row about evil pharmaceutical companies. The guy leading the evil pharmaceutical company that's trying to create a cure for all beastmen. His first reveal is that he is an ancestor of the people that slaughtered his village, and he was like, yes, but it was actually the beastmen themselves who slaughtered each other. That it wasn't actually us, it was the beastmen who killed their own kind. And I was like, okay, well, that's gonna be an interesting thing to get into. Oh, we don't? Never mind. That's kind of like, that was kind of weird, like the whole like, oh, when beastmen get stressed enough, they turn to big monsters. I was like, that's not a really thought out thing. You didn't really think that through all that much.
Yeah, it's like I thought like the reason why like they turned into monsters was because like the pharmaceutical company gave them a drug.
Absolutely.
And it's like, oh, and they lied about the whole stressed out thing in order to like wipe them off because
yeah. But I was like, so no one in Zootopia here has ever been stressed or anything? Like no one, not until now. I was like, that doesn't work. That's a weird thing. So I was like, that was a weird twist. Then, as I said, there's all that stuff about how the beastmen from Shio's old village all turn on each other. And I was like, well, that's not really a thing that's been explored. Like, we're just kind of dropping that.
They kind of mentioned, like, how, like, when beastmen get into, like, really big crowds.
When, like, different beastmen are all living together in close quarters.
Yeah, it's like they get stressed out. And it's like, and if you, like, live in a crowded city, and it's easy to get stressed out.
Yeah.
Like, as New Yorkers, I experience a lot of stress when I go on the subway, so...
That's a joke. No one goes on the subway. Actually, no. That's a joke. People still go on the subway, and they shouldn't.
It's not like we have a choice.
Exactly. We don't have an option. Which, holy crap, that's a thing. Oh, 2020, everybody. The year where no one tried to help anyone. So there's some explanation to that. But then, it's just to me this idea that, like, Shio starts to remember, oh, the beastmen attacked each other. And then it's like, maybe an episode showing that flashback or something, and we get more details on it. No. Okay, we only got one more episode to go. We don't have time on that. But then the twist gets weirder. Like, the twist of, like, the pharmaceutical guy is a descendant of the humans who attacked his village.
Like,
that's weird enough. That's way too convenient. then it's revealed he was one of the humans who attacked because he's not actually a human. He himself is a beastman.
He is a pure-blooded beastman.
And he's a pure-blooded beastman, and the pure-blooded beastmen, they can also transform into the giant wolf creatures that Shio can turn into when he turns into his silver wolf form, and also pure-blooded beastmen are also immortal. And it's, what? That makes zero sense. That makes absolute zero sense because when you think about, he says like, oh, the reason why you lost your immortality was because beastmen started breeding with other beastmen, so you weren't pure-blooded beastmen anymore. It's like, okay, but if the pure-blood ones were immortal, there'd be like hundreds of you walking around still because even if they breeded with other beastmen, the ones who were the pureblood one up there at the top who started the breeding would still be immortal. That makes zero sense. That is like, how many generations of like wolf beastmen had to breed with other wolf beastmen to create an immortal one? And like, you mean to tell me you're like one of the only ones? That makes wow. That was like something they were just like, well, we have to have giant wolf Shio fight other giant wolf. We gotta do that.
No, it wasn't just a giant wolf. It was like freaking Cerberus.
Cerberus, it had 3 heads. And it's like, it's a cool design, but I kept looking at that thing and it's like, you really didn't have to have giant wolf Shio fight other giant wolf thing. It's like, you have this guy, which again, it really feels like there was a drug that also caused the beastmen to turn into big monsters.
Yeah.
It feels like he could just have gone like, well, I'm going to inject myself a human with this thing that gives me strength, and I'll be stronger than all the beastmen. And then he turned into a big human. Or he has these robots going around shooting up the beastmen with like this cure that takes away their beastman abilities.
It turns them human, basically.
Turns them human.
It was like the whole thing Michiru went into the city to find in the first place.
Exactly. Which I kind of like the idea that at the end she was like, no, I understand this is a bad thing. And I was like, okay, good, that's great.
I don't think we didn't really mention like how Michiru like shapeshifts.
Oh yeah, that's weird. We'll get into that in a second. But I was like, but I keep thinking, like, he's got all these robots. Like, if you need Shio to fight a big thing, wouldn't the perfect big thing for him to fight at the end be like the human-controlled big robot? Like, have him make a big robot that's like low with like the ability to cure.
Or like have like all the little robots like form into a big robot. Or something.
I mean, it's anime. Little robots can form into big robots. We know this. It's the basic rules of anime.
Also, like, you know, nature versus machine or something. Yeah.
There's so many better things they could have done than like, and I too, the human that you hated so much, was actually a beastman, and I'm the beastman that was there the day when you destroyed your village, and I can also turn into a big woman. Like, shut up.
And I'm also a god, and I think you are all disgusting, and I want you wiped off the planet. So
and I think you're all filthy. It's like, that wasn't part of your character up until now, but sure, whatever. Just bring in everything you need. It's like, it is so.
And I will continue to control the humans from the shadows. Like, oh, okay.
So, was that your arc? All right, sure. Yeah, it is so. It's way too much. It is way too much. And like we said, just have the human-controlled big robot done. Done. Perfect ending there. But also the fact that Michiru, it's revealed that the reason why she turned into a beastman is because her and Nazuna got into an accident and they were rushed to the hospital, and the blood transfer they got was actually a chemical that his company was working on that was designed to basically be like the all beastman gene, and so it allows them to not just turn into beastmen but turn into like any beastman that they want. So they can actually like combine, like she can get like a gorilla arm to get super strength.
Yes.
She can get bird wings. She can get cheetah legs to run.
Also, like I think it's clever, like how they made like Michiru and Nazuna like a raccoon, aka Tanuki, and a fox, aka a Kitsune, because Kitsunes and Tanukis are shapeshifters.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I knew that Tanukis could, like, because you all see, like, the little thing, like, their leaf on their heads. Like, I knew that was the thing where, like, they, like, leap or something backwards, they can transform, because she actually tries doing that at one point. It's like, that's a cute little thing. But yeah, I didn't think about it. I was like, oh yeah, Kitsunes in Japanese mythology, they were shapeshifters. Like, that's really smart. Oh, it didn't fully occur to me until right now.
Yeah, and, Nazuna, she uses her shapeshifting abilities to become, like, the silver wolf, like the fake idol, basically.
She basically becomes like the head of this cult.
Yes.
By looking like the silver wolf, yeah. I do think that they did a lot of good stuff with him. Also, it felt kind of weird to me that they were like, again, it's very clear that this whole show is supposed to be a metaphor that, like, the Beastmen are people who have been discriminated against, and then you have this person who was not a member of that group being discriminated against coming in here and going, oh, now I have all of your gifts and abilities, and it's like, this is kind of like cultural appropriation, the show. That's what this almost feels like. But then at the end, like, all the Beastmen kind of bond over a thing, and Nazuna and I totally forgot her name. Michiru. They kind of look at each other as like, yeah, even though we like are with them, like they've been through stuff and they have stuff in their history that we will never be able to understand. Like, that's actually, like, you handled that good. You kind of came in here and saved it, and you weren't just like, hi, me person who's not part of your group is going to come in here and be the best version of you I can possibly be. I was like, that's not, that doesn't quite work out. But no, at the end they learned the lesson about, like, no, we're always going to be different from them because we don't have that history, we don't have that connection that they do. It's like, that's all right, good. Speaking of Beastmen, our own little Beastman is going nuts because someone out there, despite the fact that it is July 12th, is setting off fireworks because they're a big jerk. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. You got anything else you want to say?
I enjoyed this.
Yeah, I liked it. It is definitely not my favorite Trigger thing, but like it's a continuation of really good Trigger stuff. So, and you know, my opinion on this might change because in all honesty, I liked Kill la Kill, but like over time, I liked it more.
Yeah, I know you didn't really like it that much the first time around.
I was like, I'm okay on it the first time I watched it, and then over time, I was like, no, that's actually really good.
Yeah, and it's like maybe it'll be the same thing with Brand New Animal
exactly,
or
it
something.
Could be. Like this one is definitely starting off strong. I don't think as time goes along, I'm going to be like, and another thing. No.
And maybe like Panty and Stocking, we watched it another time.
That is never happening. No. To the person out there who's going to go, I want your next post-Geekout reaction to me Panty and Stocking, you can go to hell. That's not happening. That is not happening. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.